It's a new day dawning. It's time to sing the song again. Whatever may pass and whatever lies before me, let me be singing when the evening comes. Bless the Lord, O my soul. Oh, my soul, worship His holy name. Sing like never before. Oh, my soul, I worship Your holy name. Your rich in love and Your slow to reign. Name is great and Your heart is kind. For all Your goodness I will keep on singing. 10,000 reasons for my heart to find. Bless the Lord, O my soul. Oh, my soul, worship His holy name. Sing like never before. Oh, my soul, I worship Your holy name. And on that day when my strength is there, the end draws near and my time has come, still my soul will sing Your praise unending. 10,000 years and then forevermore. Bless the Lord, O my soul. Oh, my soul, worship His holy name. Sing like never before. Oh, my soul, I worship Your holy name. Bless the Lord, O my soul. Oh, my soul, worship His holy name. Sing like never before. Oh, my soul, I worship Your holy name. I worship Your holy name. I worship Your holy name. Sing like never before. Oh, my soul, I worship Your holy name.
If you will stand for the reading of the gospel. Hear now the word of the Lord. At that time, the festival of the dedication took place in Jerusalem. It was winter, and Jesus was walking in the temple in the portico of Solomon. So the Jews gathered around Him and said to Him, "How long will you keep us in suspense? If You are the Messiah, tell us plainly." Jesus answered, "I've told you, and you do not believe. The works that I do in my Father's name testify to me, But you do not believe because you do not belong to my sheep. My sheep hear my voice. I know them and they follow me. I give them eternal life and they will never perish. No one will snatch them out of my hand. My Father, in regard to what he has given me, is greater than all. And no one can snatch them out of my Father's hand. The Father and I are one. It's the word of God for the people of God. Thanks be to God. You may be seated. I watch myself. I record these. I put them on YouTube, and I watch myself every week to try to. It's painful to watch yourself. And one of the things I've noticed, I've noticed that this side is top heavy. Usually we have fewer people here, but I notice that I tend to kind of favor this side. So I just want y'all to know I'm not pointing the finger at you when I favor this side. I really try hard to do both sides, but so we've got to. Part of your evangelism is helping fill up this side too. So in our culture today, we celebrate Mother's Day, but in the Christian calendar, we have a name for this day. It's called Good Shepherd Sunday. It's every fourth Sunday of Easter season. The gospel readings and all the readings are about Jesus as the Good Shepherd, or as we saw in Psalm 23, the Lord is my shepherd. And we love that song, as Susan said, but in fact, we've overheard it. Many of us know it by heart. But when we overhear something, that means that often it's very, very easy to miss out on the profound meaning of it. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to preach on the 23rd Psalm. I think I'm going to preach on it in a way that you've never considered before. One thing I've learned about getting older is that the older I get, the less significant some of the pain in my past is. The hurts, the pains, the adversities of the past, they seem to grow less significant the older I get. I think back to my times as a child where I might have been bullied by another student, maybe made fun of or rejected by a pretty girl. And at the time, those things seemed like everything to me. They seemed like everything. How would I recover from any of that? How would I get over it? I remember getting my heart broken by a girl in junior high. I was smitten with her. Every thought of every day was consumed with her. And when she broke my heart, I thought I would never get over it. I couldn't see past that moment because it hurt so bad. But now I've been happily married for 37 years. I look back on that pain in junior high and I smile about it. I even laugh about how I thought it was the end of the world back then. I can even talk about it in a sermon now. But at the time, mentioning that pain in front of a group of people and even putting it on YouTube for the whole world to see, that was unthinkable to me. What changed over time was my perspective. What seemed so big back then just seems so small now. And as we get older, we often look back at the adversities in our life and we look at them differently. We put them in a different perspective. And some things we just forget. Some of the pain we just forget. And to be sure, there are some tragedies in our life that we can't seem to shake. And I'm not sure that we should shake them. Not completely, if at all. And yet, as time moves on, we often reframe those tragedies in our life. Even the sting of the pain, even if the sting of the pain remains with us, we can at least learn to move on with life. And with time, the pain becomes less severe, and we put it in a bigger perspective. I reacquainted with a good friend a few years ago, and we had been estranged for a long time. We had left our friendship on less than good terms. And when we met again a few years ago, it's like we had forgotten we had both forgotten that we had ever had words. I can't even recall what the words were about. Years of maturity had allowed us to put that insignificant disagreement in perspective and even laugh about it now. Let's put something else in perspective. My favorite part of flying is when the plane takes off. And as we ascend, the world below looks bigger and bigger as we ascend. But the things on the ground are either hidden to the naked eye, or they just look so small. If you've ever been to the top of a mountain, or even a skyscraper, the world looks so big and everything on the ground looks so small. I remember the very first time I saw Denali in Alaska. Denali is the tallest mountain in the world, from base to summit. Now, most of you think, well, isn't that Mount Everest? It's not. Mount Everest is higher. It's the highest mountain in the world because it starts at a higher elevation. But Denali is the bigger mountain. And the first time I saw it, it was from Anchorage, big city in Alaska, Anchorage. There are a few spots where you can see Denali in all its glory on a clear day. So that's Denali in the background, and that's the city of Anchorage. Even from the ground, you can see Denali, the biggest mountain in the world, from base to summit, on a clear day from Anchorage. Now here's some perspective on that. Seeing Denali from Anchorage is like you and I being able to see something from here that's sitting in Washington, D.C. So if Denali were in Washington, D.C. on a clear day, we could see it. The distance is as the crow flies. That's how big it is. You can see it from that far away. It's amazing. And as big as Denali is, as big as this earth is, imagine this. You can fit 1,300 Earths inside the planet Jupiter. 1,300 of the world we live in, you can fit inside the planet Jupiter. Compared to Jupiter, Denali is an insignificant speck. And you can fit about 1,000 Jupiters inside our sun. 1,000 of them. How many Earths, does anybody know, can you fit inside the sun? 1.3 million. The world we live in, you can put 1.3 million inside the sun. It's incredible to think about. And here's more. The largest known star in the universe is UY Scuti. UY Scuti's diameter is over 1,700 times the size of the sun, and you can fit almost 5 billion suns inside UY Scuti. 5 billion. Can you guess how many Earths you can fit inside UY Scuti? Show us, April. 6 quadrillion. 489 trillion Earths can fit inside the largest known star in the universe. Sit with that for a second. As big as Denali is to us, we could see it from Washington. Think about how small Denali is now. Think about how small we are. You and I, we are but an insignificant, microscopic speck in this universe. To something as large as UY Scuti, if we were sitting on the UY Scuti, it would take, we couldn't see Earth with the naked eye. It would take a microscope beyond our comprehension to barely make us out. There's no such microscope. To something as large as UY Scuti, we hardly even exist. In fact, there are organisms all around us right now that can only be seen with a very high-powered microscope. The organisms that exist around you that you can't see, imagine comparing them to UY Scuti. So from the perspective of the universe, we are like those organisms you can't see, maybe even more dramatically. There are several names for God in the Old Testament, but the big one, the big name for God, the one that is mostly used is what we pronounce Yahweh. Now, that's not how you pronounce it, most likely, but that's the closest we can get. Yahweh is the name of God that the Jewish people say you should never say out loud. You should never speak the name of Yahweh, because this is the author of the earth. This is the author of the sun. Yahweh is the author of the solar system. Yahweh is the author of the Milky Way. Yahweh is the author of UY Scuti. Yahweh is the reason for our existence, the Almighty, the eternal Yahweh. The Hebrews never spoke that name. It is too great. It is too powerful. It is too good. It is too eternal for the specks that we are to even presume we could speak that name. I probably shouldn't even speak it in this sermon out of respect for our Jewish brothers and sisters. And so the Hebrew people had a way to help them remember not to say Yahweh. They replaced it with Adonai, which means Lord. So when you get to Psalm 23, remember, Psalms are lyrics. So David was singing this psalm. When David sings, "The Lord is my shepherd," you might think he's using Adonai here. You might think he's not saying Yahweh is my shepherd, but he didn't. He's not using Adonai. He's singing Yahweh is my shepherd. David sings Yahweh. And the interesting thing about that is that whenever he talks in the Psalms about God as a shepherd, he always says our shepherd. He will say the Lord is our shepherd, usually in the Psalms. But here in Psalm 23, it's the only psalm. It's the only psalm where he uses the first person singular and says, Yahweh is my shepherd. It's the only one. It's unparalleled in the Psalms. The author of this earth, the author of our sun, the author of our solar system, the author of our Milky Way, the author of UY Scuti, the reason for our existence, the Almighty, the eternal Yahweh is my shepherd. Is my shepherd, David sings. My shepherd, the one whose name we should not even speak, he sings, is my shepherd. You are invisible to Jupiter. You are invisible to the sun. You are invisible to UY Scuti, but to the one who created all of that, you belong to him. You belong to him. He is yours. You are his. Yahweh is your shepherd. And this is why in the very same breath, David sings, Yahweh is my shepherd, I shall not want. Those two phrases complete each other. They should not be said separately. If I say the Lord is my shepherd, you should immediately say, I shall not want. That is the heart of everything we are and everything we believe as God's people. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. And how could you want for anything if Yahweh is your shepherd? When Yahweh, the author of everything, is your shepherd, how could you want for anything? So the 23rd Psalm is about lacking nothing because God is our shepherd. And so we get to this verse, this next verse that we all love. He makes me lie down in green pastures. When you hear that, he makes me lie down in green pastures, you're probably thinking of this picture. You're probably thinking of a green pasture like that, right? He makes me lie down in green pastures. But that's not what David was writing about. David did not have this in mind. David had the Judean wilderness in mind when he wrote the psalm. The Judean wilderness did not look like this. It was mountainous, it was treacherous, it was dry terrain with very little vegetation. It looked like this. When he says he makes me lie down in green pastures, he's thinking of this. The lush green terrain in the first picture, that was not for sheep. You didn't take sheep to those green fields. You reserved the green fields for farmers. The shepherd had to take his sheep here in the wilderness to feed his sheep. So in this psalm, David's writing from the perspective of the sheep. He knows that what these sheep need, it's not easily or readily found here. There's very little vegetation there. And in order to get to the vegetation, you have to be led to it on the right path. And that's what David means when he said, he leads me in the right path. A good shepherd will lead his sheep through the dry and dangerous terrain to make sure they have enough water and food so they are restored. The shepherd must know where to find the vegetation in this scene and know where to find the nourishment in a land that is lacking in it. He must lead the sheep in the right path so they are fed and restored. So David says He restores my soul. And the sheep lack nothing with a good shepherd steering them in the right path through the wilderness. And they lack nothing. The reason the sheep lack nothing is because their eyes are not on what they don't have. Their eyes are not on what they're lacking. Their eyes are on the shepherd. And a big part of our problem in this country and in the Western affluent world is that too often we keep our eyes focused on what we don't have. We spend so much of our time and energy trying to acquire what we don't have. The focus of our lives become what we don't have rather than what the shepherd provides for us. And a big part of the reason that the church in this country is declining overall is because the sheep are rolling around in the green pastures of affluence. Why would you need a shepherd when you are fat, happy, and rolling around in the lush green fields? That's an AI-generated image, by the way. Pastor's using high tech. Here in our country, we fear missing out on what others have or the world around us thinks we should have. We take our eyes off the shepherd and we focus on what we lack. Most of our anxiety in this world comes from being preoccupied with what we don't have. I don't have the stuff I want. I don't have the freedom I want. And it leads us to try to fill up the void in our life with something else, rather than trusting our shepherd to provide for our daily bread. That's what consumerism is. Consumerism isn't buying stuff. Consumerism isn't having nice stuff. Consumerism is not about having more. Consumerism is about having something else. The great Stoic philosopher Seneca said, being poor is not having too little. It is wanting more. We buy more, we upgrade because the shine has worn off. The smell of the new car fades away, and we find ourselves yearning for it again. The lift that we get from having a new thing, it fades so quickly, and so we focus on what we don't have, and we look for something else. But sheep are not consumed by what they lack, because they're not keeping their eyes on what they don't have. The sheep are keeping their eyes on the shepherd because they trust that the shepherd's going to provide for all they need. They're not thinking, the sheep are not thinking, boy, I wish I were in the lush green field over there, like that AI-generated sheep, until we could roll over full and happy. They're not thinking that because they're keeping their eyes on the shepherd rather than the lush farming field. Sheep are content. They are content with what the shepherd provides for them. And when we start focusing on what we don't have and we become consumed with it, that's what consumerism is. And it is not just what we don't have. We start focusing on what we are not. I am not successful. I'm not powerful. I'm not wealthy. I'm not like her. I don't have the perfect family like they do. I'm not as beautiful as the other sheep over there. I'm just a little insignificant speck in this world. But to the one who is the author of this earth, to the one who is the author of the sun, to the one who is the author of the solar system, the author of the Milky Way, the author of UY Scooty, the reason for our existence, the Almighty, the eternal Yahweh, you are not a speck of no account. You are His child. You are His. He is your shepherd. And even though you may walk through a dark valley, you don't have to fear any evil or any adversity, for your shepherd is right there with you, comforting you, protecting you with his rod and staff. Your shepherd will leave all the other sheep. He will leave all 99 of those other sheep to come after you. That's how important you are to your shepherd. He knows every hair on your head. Every one of them. He has them numbered. He knew you before you entered your mother's womb. Before you were born, when you were a speck of a speck, He knew your name. The author of this earth, the author of our sun, the author of our solar system, the author of the Milky Way, the author of you, Y Scooty, the reason for our existence, the Almighty, the Eternal, the one whose name we should not even speak, has you in the palm of his hand. And no one will snatch you out of it. Even in the presence of your enemies, he feeds you, he anoints you, your cup overflows. So take your anxiety, take your pain, take your adversity, and be at peace in the palm of God's hand. A hand that is bigger than this earth, a hand that is bigger than this sun, a hand that is bigger than the solar system, bigger than the Milky Way, bigger than you, Y Scooty, bigger than the universe, bigger than everything. Keep your eye on the shepherd, and you shall not want. Let us take a moment of silence.